Hi, I'm Jessica Brown, Mrs. Colorado Universal 2021, here with another episode of Beyond the Barbie Powerhouse Paper Dolls, looking below the surface at beautiful women to find out who inspires the women who inspire us. Today with me is my sister queen, Jacqueline Humble. She is Mrs. Pacific Northwest. That's a mouthful, but it fits on the
sandwich. It's a lot. Yeah.
Welcome, Jackie. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I was reading over your questionnaire, and where I would like to start is kind of your origin start where things really impacted you and got you into advocacy. So who has inspired you?
My older sister has been my biggest inspiration, and I think all the other women that have come before me that have struggled with infertility, they're kind of my tribe, the people that understand the stuff that I've gone through with infertility and infant loss. And but my biggest inspiration, my biggest cheerleader was my older sister, and she's fortunately no longer with us. She died of pancreatic cancer when I was 17. But I've kind of been living, not just for her, but I became a nurse because of her, and a lot of my adult characteristics and personality traits kind of mimic who I would hope that she would aspire me to be. If that makes sense.
And what do you remember most about her?
I think her laugh is what I remember the most, but also just her loyalty and honesty, and just her character. No one, I can't tell you, but the short time that I was, able to know her, from just 17 years, which seems like such a short time.
Yeah.
No one ever had anything negative to say about her. They always had joyful things to say about her. She was always bringing positivity and a ray of light and hope to others, despite the fact that she was, had cancer and kind of a terminal diagnosis. But she was always.
How long was she sick?
Fighter, about 11 years. So pretty long.
My goodness.
Considering her diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. So she was.
She was a fighter.
Yeah. She was in and out of remission, I think 5 different times. So just her, character and modeling that, integrity and grace, and just despite all the hardships that she went through, she just always had joy in her heart and a smile on her face. And that's what I remember most about her. And that's kind of a legacy that I want to leave behind too. So trying to make her proud.
Well, and I guess that's where your ideal superpower of helping others probably originates. When you picture that in your head of having a superpower of helping, what would that look like?
I mean, obviously becoming a nurse, one of the things you aspire to do is to help heal the sick. And though I'm not really a diagnostic person, I'm not a doctor, I don't get to make the final decision on what's causing the illness. I get to sit at the bedside with somebody that's sick, and when they need somebody's hand to hold, especially through this whole COVID nonsense when we're not really letting visitors in, it's comforting to the patient to be able to have somebody that can just hold their hand or tell them it's okay, and even when it's not, that's what they want to hear, and they need that support mechanism. And so it's certainly
they've done lots of studies on the impact that has on healing. Even beyond the medical diagnosis and treatment, but having, like a plant, having, words of affirmation and the positive touch. And what has the pandemic been like for you as a nurse then? Well, most of us, it's been basically sitting at home eating. What has been your experience?
There's a mental component to it for sure. With me kind of always wondering, am I going to bring it home to my family? Am I going to make anybody sick? Taking extra precautions, making sure that I'm even more participating in self-care and making sure that I'm staying healthy so that my family stays healthy. When we're in the hospital and we're kind of in isolation with patients, we get the opportunity to use our protective equipment and use it for what it's purpose for. And it's designed in such a way that can protect us from the illness. And so there's a certain way of putting it on and taking it off that you can kind of decontaminate yourself. And but there's a mental component to it for sure. Just being in isolation with somebody and for weeks and months, and you know, in and out of the hospital and coming in and out of work and working longer shifts and picking up extra ones. So it kind of gets draining, you know, it kind of gets
in every way, I imagine.
physically demanding. You get bruises on your face from the equipment. Thankful for the equipment. By no means I'm not thankful for it, but it's been hard. But I've been looking at different looking at different avenues to outlets. So I've been doing art and I've been doing yoga and I take walks and I just try to participate with like things with my family that and just fill up my time when I'm at home so that
Well, you don't just do yoga. I mean, on your list of hobbies, you listed it 3 times. So it sounds like you are a big proponent of yoga.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing CrossFit there for a while and I was really liking that. And I'm having some joint issues and some problems with different things. So, and bone density. So yoga is one of the things that keeps kind of coming up as a person that's like on a hormone replacement therapy and that has had hysterectomy. Yoga is one of those things that they suggest for developing bone density and increasing flexibility and strength. And so
how does yoga have any effect on bone density?
I mean, there's a book out there that's called Yoga and Osteoporosis, and it's supposed to be, there's some, I guess, scientific evidence behind and practices behind yoga practices being able to kind of build strength in your bones. So I was doing it for that. I'm kind of taking a little bit of a hiatus because my hip's kind of problematic and I'm doing a little surgery for that next week. But I will be
You're having hip surgery?
Yeah, I am having hip surgery.
Oh my goodness. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
As a nurse, is that more or less scary going in for surgery? Do you find, like, compared to how other people feel about going under, do you know, having more knowledge of the medical field, feel more comfortable? Or is it like eating in a restaurant when you're a server and you know what goes on behind the scenes?
I do know what goes on behind the scenes, and I think that helps set my mind at ease a little bit. I know the people that are going to be doing my surgery.
Do you really? Like personal friends?
Yeah. Well, my surgeon and his wife, they're kind of friends with our family, and more so my husband than me. But just the people that I work with, like the anesthesia providers and, you know, the hospital staff, like I trust them with my life. And so I think that's important too when you're going under the knife. But I think, you know, for me, I've been through surgery multiple times and I kind of know kind of what to anticipate. So I'm hoping that this one goes better. But I'm set up to be off for a few weeks, and
I was going to ask what the recovery
mechanism at home, and so I'm looking forward to getting it over with and starting a therapy so that I can get beyond it and get back to yoga.
Yeah. Well, am going to have to look up the information on osteoporosis because I had always heard the opposite, that it needed to be weights and but everybody's been suggesting yoga, so I'm going to get nudged into it at some point.
Yeah, my women's health provider was telling me to get into yoga a long time ago, and I did CrossFit for a while instead, and then I joined yoga, and I was like, why'd I wait so long? Because it's so nice and so therapeutic, and just for mind and body too. You know, you lay there and you're, you know, when you've done the hard work for the hour and 5 minutes, and then you get to lay on your mat and just listen to the music, and they give you that cool eucalyptus towel to like place over your face. It's like a spa day. It's really good. That hour and 5 of self-care that you give yourself is for me, it's been really healing for the whole COVID deal, and it's been good for my joints too. I just happen to have a little bit of an issue that isn't going to be fixed unless I do surgery. So
well, and the rehab will go faster with yoga.
I think so, too.
So on a fun note, this is called Paper Dolls because the interviews are linked by things that are in common. First thing that you and I have in common is I asked if you could travel anywhere, and you said Santorini. And that is, I have been staring at pictures, and my entire youth, it was France. And then as I was kind of getting back to my roots, it was Italy. And now that I've been stuck in COVID, if I could only go one place, I would want to go to Santorini. I have to see it. It's so stunningly beautiful. And I can't believe that exists on this planet.
Yeah. When you say like, you want to travel to a postcard, like, I mean, there's not one picture of that place that doesn't look like spectacular. And I think just that, and blue is my favorite color. It's long-standing been my favorite color. It doesn't really matter the shade. I just always like the color blue. and any color of blue feels calming and peaceful to me. And there is a
The
lot of
whole
blue in
city of blue
Santorini.
and white. Yeah.
It's all blue and white, and there's a lot of culture there, and a lot of good food, and a lot of good people. And I've always wanted to kind of go to places that have really amazing art. Italy is another place on my bucket list. I would love to travel through Italy and Tuscany and wine country and all those places. And they're certainly on the bucket list. And when COVID is kind of a little bit more behind us, not so much like that it's going to be like we're going to go back to the way that it was before, but when it's kind of a new normal,
manageable.
I would like to start making a list of different places that I want to go and start checking them off my list.
Yeah, I think you and a lot of people, I think a lot of people like me are sitting around thinking, man, I wish I had traveled more. I mean, I did a lot of domestic travel. I've gone to Disney World a lot of times. And I loved every trip. I mean, I was very happy to do that. But now, especially after COVID, I'm really looking at the world beyond and would like to broaden my experiences. So you have a couple things in common with Julie, my personal trainer who came before. On the question of favorite curse word, you both said you don't curse, and the same with the interview after you. And your greatest fear is something happening to your children.
Yeah, I think that's, it keeps me up at night sometimes. And
well, because you've experienced that kind of loss of somebody before their time. That's very real to you.
Yeah.
It's an abstract theory to most of us, but you've been through that personal hurt.
Yeah, I think that the hardest traumas that I deal with at the hospital are pediatric traumas. And we've had a couple this year, and it's been emotionally just super hard. And it really makes you appreciate and be thankful for what you have. And I love my children. They're my world, and my husband's my world, and my family's my world. And to know that, our days are numbered. And when you see that firsthand in the hospital and think it'll never be you, that's not really the mentality that I have, because I just don't know. We just don't know when our number is going to get called up. And and I have, my son is adopted, so
I didn't
even
know
more
that.
so, even more so feeling like just especially like grateful for both my daughter and my son, and opportunities that I've been given through both of them. And I can't imagine what that would be like if, something happened and one day they were here and one day they weren't. It terrifies me for sure.
Yeah, my grandfather, he lost his son, and his son was, I believe, in his 50s. And it was still devastating to a man in his 70s. Just kept saying, you're not supposed to bury your kids. And I watched him go through that my grandfather. It's just, it's a feeling that, and I was raised by my grandparents and a single mom. So being a child, being raised by elderly people, knowing that I wasn't going to get the time with them that I wanted. So that fear of loss was very integral to my developing self-concept. And your sister, got sick when you were a child. Do you remember time before her being sick? Or is it kind of just always like that?
I think I do, but it kind of all blends together because,
she had times of remission.
I think I was probably 6 or 7 when it first came about for her. She had just, I was 14. She was 14 when we were born. So she lived at home with us for a while.
Are you a twin?
Yeah, I have a twin sister.
You're a twin?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Did you say sister? Is it identical?
No, we're fraternal, and she's got dark black, like brown, like black, dark hair. And her name is Julie. She goes by Julia. And she's married and has 2 kids, boy and girl. And she lives in Kentucky.
Oh.
Where I grew up. Yeah.
And how long have you been in, what is the town where you are? You said you have both beaches and mountains, and I can't remember where that was. What's the city?
I live in Sandpoint, Idaho.
Sandpoint?
Yep. It's one word.
Cool.
Yep.
Perfect.
I live just about an hour south of Canada in the Northern Panhandle. And we live at the base of a beautiful ski resort and on one of the largest lakes in the Northwest, Lake Ponderay. So the winters are great. Summers are great. Can't beat the environment. And
do you get like big seasonal changes, like Michigan and Colorado, like the leaves and the blossoms, or is it more evergreens?
There is a lot of evergreens, but we also have like a lot of tamarack, and we have a lot of birch, and we have a lot of color changing trees too. So there's a little
Nice.
bit of a mix, which is really nice because it kind of reminds me of being back home in Kentucky. So kind of have a little bit of both. Most of the trees will stay green, but a lot of them will change and the leaves will fall off, and then it'll be kind of very gloomy for the better part of the last part of the year, and then the early part of the next year. And so when we finally do get our summer season that hits, we're thankful for the sunshine because we only see it a few times in the winter.
Yeah, that's how it was when I lived in Michigan. Once the sun went away early fall and it didn't come back until spring. Colorado still gets sunny. Yeah. Well, so adopting your son, I'm guessing that is what led you into your platform. Would you share with us what you would like your legacy to be, what your mission is, what you want to be known for?
Well, my legacy, so I'm often referred to this country music song, in a world full of light, or in a world full of hate be light. And so there's a song, and there's a lyric in that song by Thomas Rudd, I believe it is, that there's lots of hate in the world, and there's really no point of not being the light to others. And just kind of like my sister was when she was growing up and never had anything negative to say, was always bringing positivity and joy. I kind of want to emulate that, and not in memory of her, but for my children and for what comes behind them, and leave them a legacy of light. And I want to be able to come into a room and bring joy to others. And when I leave the room, that joy kind of remains, and it's kind of contagious and kind of trickles out. And then my platform, or my reason for, or what I advocate for, is infertility awareness and advocacy. And certainly I'd always planned on adopting. That was something that was always in my wheelhouse that I always wanted to do. And I met the man that also wanted the same, which was great. And through my own fertility struggles, and going through in vitro with my daughter, later having a hysterectomy, us having adoption in our wellhouse, and on our plan and on our mind and agenda, kind of really fit in with kind of me advocating for women and that are going through infant loss and fertility issues, whether that's unexplained fertility or fertility that's explained. Unless you've kind of been through those own circumstances, it's kind of hard to kind of know what those women are feeling. And so I've kind of been down that road and been able to mentor several women, and working on trying to start, or at least bring a chapter of a nonprofit here to town that will be a support mechanism for that, for women in the region that need support and hope.
Are you trying to bring a nonprofit, or are you advocating for one?
There's already one in place, and I'm working with them right now to try to start a chapter here, and kind of working through the regulations, and got a church that's agreed to kind of be the support and backbone for it, which is great. Then I'm on 2 other nonprofits here in town that kind of all coincide with my passion, and one of them is just called Life Choices Pregnancy Center, and it is a pregnancy center that is designed to help women in crisis, whether they're pregnant or not, and kind of just share the love of the Lord with them at the same time. And then another organization that kind of spun off of that one, because the pregnancy center will help them for the first 4 to 5 years. But we're finding that a lot of women are coming back with crisis, and they need help after that fact. So we started this other organization called Ida Hope Families, and it helps families in crisis and also shares the gospel with them through host families from the church and family friends. And so I kind of serve on both boards, and I'm kind of helping some families that are currently in crisis be able to have like some financial freedom and some different things. And all along the way, understanding that there are still women in our town that need support. So I was like, well, what else can I do? I'm going to add something else. So I've been talking to that organization, and I don't really want to name them out because it might not work out. So, but just recognizing that our town has got a resource that isn't being used, and resources that that women, I think, would definitely benefit from having hope, and just a place to go to talk.
Yeah, the community
support.
support.
And a community of support. And I've got to set up a private, like a group online for it, and that's been really great for women to connect in that way. But I think that it needs to be bigger than that. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, Godspeed, my friend. That is a great aspiration, and you are very busy. You are really busy.
I am busy, but I only work part-time, so that's been nice. I went part-time in September of last year, so I could spend more time with my baby, and so I only work 2 days a week.
Oh, very
frees
nice.
up all the other days to kind of get stuff done. And
yeah. Well, you are definitely living your legacy. You are spreading light in the world and offering so much support to other women. I'm proud to know you, and thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was
welcome.
lovely.
I'm so glad to be asked.
Yes, of course. And I will see you in less than 4 months.
I know, it's so exciting. I keep counting it down. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're getting closer to the date.
Well, it seems so far away because it was, next year. But I do that at the end of every year. I think that, next year's so far, and then it's just upon me.
Yeah, but it's just a few short months away now, which is so exciting.
Yes, very exciting countdown. Well, thank you again, Jacci. Thank you for being with us. I'm Jessica Brown, Mrs. Colorado Universal 2021. This is Powerhouse Paper Dolls. Thank you.